a shorter live stream, I think, but I did have my 1 p.m. live stream. And because I have a lot of late night owls or night owls who watch my stream like me, doing 1 a.m. as well. So let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who joins. And once again, we're going to chat about Freemasonry. So this, sorry, that this morning or this afternoon at 1 p.m., we talked about annual communications. My advice for those Masons thinking of going, especially those Masons who may be a little bit more nervous about going to Grand Lodge annual communications, what they are and why they're so important. And because I went to one this week, and now I'm going to give it a few minutes and talk about um, our annual communication once again. If people want to learn about it, interesting enough, our Grand Lodge in Ontario just produced a new lodge management system called Grandview, which I don't know a lot about it right now, but I'm hoping to discuss it more in the coming weeks or week. Lodge management, there's two elements to Masonic management. There's the lodge management and then there's the membership or member management, both of which are very important and both of which are worth exploring to a greater degree. Welcome, Dennis. How is it going? Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. I'm assuming you're one of the people who hit the like button and subscribe button, so much appreciated. I do plan on, I mentioned this morning, I will be doing a 24-hour live stream next week on Monday. That's going to be a lot of fun, so I hope that you guys will tune in for some or all of that. It's going to start on July 21st, Monday, July 21st, at a time as decided by my patrons. So pay attention to my links for that. If you want to vote on what time I should start the 24-hour live stream, you can become a Patreon member, patreon.com/squareandcompass. But for now, let's give it a few minutes to see who joins. And Dennis, thank you as always for being here. I hope that you are doing well. You know, I'm looking forward to the 24-hour live stream. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be tiring, but it's also going to be a blast. So I'm looking forward to it a lot. And we'll see how it goes. Sad Girl, Maria Joy says hello. Hello, Sad Girl. I hope you're not too sad. I've been told that if you want to be happy, you can hit the like button and the subscribe button. So there you go. And Benz also says hello, or Benez. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Okay, I'm assuming it's an open installation, Courtney. So yeah, I'm sure you will be able to attend. I'm sure it'll be an absolute blast. Let me know how it goes. It's wonderful to hear. And yeah, it sounds like a very good surprise. Welcome. Please, everybody joining us, jump in the chat, say hello. I do these streams to talk about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please put them in the chat. Sin says hi. Welcome, Sin. Everybody joining us, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know how it's going and if there's anything that you want to talk about. Sure. Go nuts. Ryan, a night owl like me, how's it going? By the way, Ryan, I've got a live stream that I plan to do for 24 hours coming up next week. I hope you'll join me for at least part of it. And my personal stream, I plan to do a live stream this weekend as well, watching a Christmas movie to do a Christmas in July celebration. What is murder drones? I've never heard of that before. Well, I'm of an age where I could be somebody's father, although to my understanding, I am not. Making me feel old over here. Sin on YouTube, I will check it out for sure. And if you'd be so kind, if you're not done so, just hit the like button, subscribe button. Let me know if you guys have any questions or thoughts about Freemasonry. Legendary Lightning Daxit. I am not American. I am Canadian. Born and raised in Winnipeg. I currently live in Windsor, Ontario. I love Americans, though. Not a huge fan of the government right now, but that's a whole other can of tuna. But I've always loved my neighbors. I've said it a million times. Canada is the best country in the world. One of the reasons is because we have the best neighbors in the world. Which country do I like most? Thank you. I try my best. I got my nice haircut. Uh, I mean, I consider myself a professional traveler, and I feel very lucky that I got to travel to many different countries around the world. Most of my travels have been in North America, but honestly, I mean, I'm Canadian and I'm proud of it. I love Canada. I think Canada is the greatest country in the world. So I'm gonna have to go with Canada. Having said that, I love my travels to the States. Recently, I got to visit um, the Philippines, which was incredible, as well as getting to visit Brazil, which was incredible as well. Eminem 2.0 says hello. Hello, Eminem. I hope you hit the like button and subscribe button and let me know how you're doing. I do not have a Nintendo Switch. I have a PS3, which I enjoy. India, never been to India, sadly, but it's on my list of places I want to go. But I mean, Freemasonry exists all around the world, which is something that I think we as Freemasons need to spend more time celebrating. The fact that our Masonic lodges are everywhere, and that's a beautiful thing. Not to give the conspiracy theorists any more ammunition. Congratulations, India is. I'd love to visit India. It's 1,000,000% on my list of places I want to visit. I got a lot of friends from India. It seems like they're really cool people. I know a lot of Masons from India, and I want to go there and sit in a lodge there. I think it'd be absolutely incredible. Code 001 says gay Masons. I'm with a question mark. I'm not sure what that means. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on sexual orientation, so I know gay Masons. One of our best things about Freemasonry is the fact that it does not discriminate based on, gay or straight. Israeli slave. I'm not sure what that means either. For some reason, code 001, there seems to be, and I'm not sure I mean, I know kind of where it came from. A lot of conspiracy theorists right now on the internet, on X, linking Freemasonry with Zionism, Freemasonry with Israel. Freemasonry exists in Israel, but Freemasonry exists all over the world in many countries. There's nothing uniquely, Freemasonry welcomes men of all faiths, so we have Jewish members, Christian members, Muslim members, First Nations, right? And Freemasons have many different views on Israel, as they do on anything else. There's about 850,000 Freemasons in the United States, which means there's 850,000 different opinions on Israel. I can say as with every country, I support the people of Israel. I think that they are, all right, Legendary Lightning. You're repeating yourself a lot, and you're going to have to calm down a little bit. I can say I'm a member actually of a lodge in Israel, a member of a lodge in Tel Aviv, and proud of it. I always support the people of any country. Having said that, some of the actions of the government does concern me a little bit, put it that way. But I don't believe that you can judge the people of a country based on the government and its decisions. Satanic worshiping, we do not worship Satan. As I said, to be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. The nature of that supreme being is up to the individual Mason. So we have Christian Masons, Muslim Masons, Jewish, Hindu, First Nations, Wiccan, Wiccan. You have Masons such as myself, who are, I don't really subscribe to any religion, but I do believe in a supreme being. And so Freemasonry exists in many different beliefs. Kind of asking what do Masons worship is kind of like asking what do football players worship. Like you'll have a football team, the one thing they have in common is they're all football players, but the religious beliefs are going to be different depending on the player. In the same way, when you have a Masonic Lodge, the one consistent thing they have is that they're all Masons. But what they believe and their religious affiliations, as well as political affiliations, as well as backgrounds, economic status, all that stuff is going to be different. It's not going to be consistent. Thank you, Sin. My goal is to explore the ways in which Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. My goal is to talk about Freemasonry. So everybody here allows me to do that, and I truly appreciate it. So code 001, Zionist Manson. I'm assuming you mean, Zionist Mason. Again, Freemasonry does not have, again, it'd be like asking, are there, Zionist football players? I mean, some may be, some may not be, right? The common element of being a Freemason or being in a Masonic Lodge is everybody in that Masonic Lodge is a Freemason. But they're all going to have different political beliefs, different religious beliefs, different backgrounds, right? Freemasonry does not have, there's no position on the state of Israel. Every Freemason makes up his own mind or her own mind, if you talk about the female side of it, based on their experiences and kind of their life. So I can say again for myself personally, and I speak exclusively for myself, I guess I would consider myself a Zionist in that I support the state of Israel existing. I have a lot of concern. I'm a two-state guy in the Middle East. I think the best way to do it is to have a two-state solution. Having said that, I'm very much not a fan of the actions of the Israeli government, but again, I don't think I don't think you should judge the people of a country based on the government and governmental actions. You have to separate the government from the people. Even if it's a democracy, you still have to keep that separation in mind and recognize that people, wherever they are basically good, hopefully. I sometimes have a problem believing that, but I try to believe that. But, there is no such thing as, again, Freemasonry. The one thing every Freemason has in common is they are a member of a Masonic Lodge, right? But they will have differing political beliefs, differing religious beliefs. They will all believe in a supreme being, but the nature of that can be very, very broad. From myself, who believe in the supreme being, but does not subscribe to any religious belief in particular, all the way through to, you kind of Muslim Freemasons, Jewish Freemasons, Christian, etc., etc. So code 001, I hope I answered your questions all right. I mean, when you say grind human Palestinian meat and eat it, I don't know what that means other than that sounds very not good to me. And obviously, I think what's happening there is a tragedy. Well, Tony, no one else can see your comment, but don't see why you got to be bringing that stuff in there. Colonizing Palestine is what supporting Israel means. Holocaust. I mean, I guess what I will say, what's going on, Smokey, is, again, all I can say is what happening in the Middle East is a tragedy. There's Freemasons on all sides of any war, or pick your term, and so I mean, I guess like everybody else, I just hope it ends as soon as it can. I don't know what else there is to say beyond that, other than it's incredibly sad. And like I said, I do 100% think that the Israeli government is in the wrong in its actions in the Middle East, in especially in Palestine. So Zach is asking if there are atheist Freemasons or agnostic. Smokey, by the way, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So technically, that is not the case. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. So if you are, for lack of a better word, kind of militantly atheist to the point where you 100% don't believe in any supreme being, then you cannot be a Freemason. However, the definition of supreme being and what that means has been so kind of expanded upon at this point that really most people, even if they would describe themselves as atheists, are able to join Freemasonry because they're able to find some type of definition for a supreme being that counts. You've even heard of Masons saying their supreme being is the scientific laws that govern the universe, and they're able to join with that, right? And that has happened in the past, kind of like an Einsteinian, if you will, view of it. Einstein was famous for kind of this view of the of defining God as the mathematical kind of laws which govern the universe. So, practically speaking, there is no quote unquote atheist Freemason, but so technically speaking, you cannot be an atheist, but practically speaking, there is enough of the supreme being has been defined in such a way that most people are able to join. So, like iRobot, I haven't seen iRobot, Ryan. I'd like to see it. All right, Swallower 69. It's wonderful to have you join, but I feel like you might be a bit of a troll, so I'm going to ask you to put you in timeout. Although I appreciate the offer. I mean, I personally, I do sometimes and oftentimes worry about human beings. I like robots. I think we're far too down on the idea of artificial intelligence. The question, Ryan, is if one of the robots, let's say from the movie I, Robot, wanted to join Freemasonry, would you let the robot join? I would say yes, by the way. Thank you, Smokey the Clown. I agree. Trolling does not make you cool. It makes you stupid. I agree. I agree. Although, Great Swallower 69, once again, I appreciate the offer. By the way, I will be having my live stream, 24-hour live stream, starting the 21st of July at, I don't know what time yet. It's up to the Patreon sponsors to vote on what time they want me to start. But it'll be going 24 hours. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it a lot. I would 100% let the robot into the, so long as the robot can answer the necessary questions, so long as the robot could say it believes in a supreme being, etc., etc., I would let the robot in for sure. Zach, it doesn't have a soul. I mean, do we have a soul? You know? So to be a Freemason, and there is a female side of it. There is the Order of Women Freemasons. But there is the Order of Women Freemasons. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to talk about the fraternal side of Freemasonry. So to be a Freemason, you need to be a man. You need to be of a certain age. In Ontario, 21 years. In the States, it's usually 18, depending on which state you're in. And, you need to believe in a supreme being. So, apparently she is Smokey. So the question is, a robot comes to... I appreciate that, Smokey, but I won't be on for too long. And you said you're only stopping in for a few minutes, so I don't want to, keep you from your family. You know, I'm busy over here fighting off the women left and right from this stream, so, But I appreciate that, Smokey. Certainly for the 24-hour live stream, probably need to get some mods at various points throughout that. So you think about this robot, it comes to Masons, it says it wants to join. So the first question is the Freemason, is the robot a man? How would it define itself in that way? Would it consider itself to be male? if it was built by whoever built the robot with male features or to look like a man, is that sufficient? Right? The second question is, what is the age of the robot? Let's say the robot was built 6 months ago, but it was built to look like a 40-year-old man. Well, is it 40 years old or is it 1 year old? Does it have to exist on the planet for 21 years before it would be considered of the proper age to join the lodge, right? And then the third question, does it believe in a supreme being? And if it does, how does it define supreme being? Would its supreme being be its builder, another man? Which I guess would count. I've never heard of a Freemason claiming the supreme being that it worships is another human, but I suppose you could consider that a supreme being. That would be sufficient. And then there's the practical questions too of the robot joining. Like, does the robot work? Because there are dues to pay. You know, it costs between $100 and $200 per year to be a Mason. Could the robot pay for that? Would it understand even what that means? How would you contact it? Does the robot have an address where it lives to get a summons? You know, it's a fascinating question. I like the practicalities of it. But when I think about the human soul, I tend to believe I am a so like nowhere does it say you need to have a soul to be a Freemason. I think the assumption is everybody joining is a human and therefore has a soul. Certainly back in the day that would be the assumption. For me, I am agnostic on the idea of a soul. I think if you have the ability to observe the world around you, react to what you observe, and express what you deserve, then I think that's good enough for me, and I'm willing to consider you alive and deserving of the same rights as everybody else. Um, whether the robot has a soul or not. I mean, look, if I'm talking to somebody and I can't tell whether they're human or a robot, then as far as I'm concerned, you're a living being deserving of the same opportunities and rights as me. And that's kind of the end of it, right? Whether it's a really well designed robot that's tricking me, I don't really care. I don't think that's relevant. It's good enough for me. And the question of does it have a soul or not have a soul, uh, absolutely. And by the way, this isn't just Zach a Robos Basilisk situation. I'm not saying that just because if you don't know what that means. I'm not saying that just because I'm afraid that the robots will hear me and enslave me in the future when reviewing this podcast. I genuinely believe. I think here's what I view. I think we should treat whatever it is that we create with a level of respect. Um, and if we create a thing that is sufficiently human-like that we cannot tell the difference, then we should consider it, if not human, then deserving of the same rights as us, right? I mean, so let's say you create a robot and you program it in such a way that whenever, the robot's walking along and stubs its toe, it cries out as though in pain. Right? You could argue, is it actually feeling pain or is it just responding to programming and expressing pain? But you could say the same thing about a human. If the human stubs its toe, does it actually feel pain or is it just the nerves are programmed in such a way to create a sensation to tell it, it's in pain? I just think at some point the distinction stops mattering. And I think, I personally I don't see why we should be afraid of artificial intelligence. To me, human beings have shown more than a sufficient capacity to mess things up and harm one another. I don't see why AI doesn't deserve a chance as well to, it's kind of like there was this old joke years ago, um, which was, it was at the time that gay marriage was becoming legal. I promise this will make sense in a second. But the joke was uh, we should make gay marriage legal because gay people deserve to be just as miserable as as straight people, right? Was the joke. And I kind of have the same idea when it comes to robots in the sense that, robots deserve the chance to screw up the world just as much as humans have screwed it up, right? If we have the chance to screw up the world, let's give robots the same chance. And who knows? Maybe it'll actually be better. Maybe they'll do a better job. They can do a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like everything else, this becomes its own challenge where is artificial intelligence becomes so powerful, it puts people out of work. And if it does, do we have a plan to deal with that? Can we deal with that? Although I do think, I do want to draw a distinction between automation and actual self-awareness. Because I think what I'm discussing is when I say like a robot asked to join a lodge, the presumption is the robot is self-aware, or at least believes that it's self-aware. Define as you will. So something like almost like a Westworld type robot, which would be very different than, say, a robot from a production line at a car factory trundling its way into a lodge, right? These would be robots. It may not even have a physical body. It may exist on the web and send an email. But, the idea of a robot that at least views itself as alive and self-aware, asking to join a Masonic lodge. Go watch Terminator and iRobot. Isn't it in iRobot? Aren't the robots good in iRobot? I could be mistaken. But Terminator, yeah, but I think I'm willing to give Skynet a chance. Welcome, Mike Smith. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. I hope everybody watching this is having a great time. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This morning I was talking about AI, I was talking about the Grand Lodge annual communications, which were a blast, and encouraging people go visit an annual communication, even if you're not, a Master Mason, but you are a entered apprentice. You should still go to your annual communication. Believe me, they're a lot of fun. You can learn a lot on your Masonic journey, make friends for life, bring information back to your lodge. It can be a really special time. I am a Mason, Zach. Been a Mason since 2007. So there's one good robot, Smokey. So, that one good robot can be a Mason. The rest, maybe we'll try our best to avoid. But I've been a Freemason since 2007. Not that this proves anything, but I got the tattoos here, square and compasses. Having said that, you want to be really careful if you're a Mason and you're watching this. Just because someone has a Masonic tattoo does not mean that they themselves are Freemason, right? You can go to a tattoo shop and get a tattoo of the symbol without being a Mason. You can buy a ring without being a Mason. You still need to check for things like dues cards, passwords, pass grips, modes of recognition, all that jazz. I haven't yet. I really got to get on that. Well, it means different things. I mean, I could go through them all. It'd be a lot. But like this one, this is the one I'll talk about. This is the square and compasses. It is kind of the main Masonic symbol. Most Masonic buildings or lodges will have that symbol on its facade somewhere. And it's been around since the 17th century, 16th century actually, to identify Freemasonry and Freemasons. It's called the square and compass. It's derived from actual Masonic working tools, square and compass, and we apply those tools to our morals. 52. I don't know if you count this tattoo here. Like this one here, it's kind of weird to look at. I guess it's one tattoo, but I keep adding to it every year. So every year, a few details get added, a few things get updated on it. Matt Acoustic, I have no idea what you're trying to say there. But Matt Acoustic, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. What's for dinner, Zach? And I'm not being sarcastic about that. So when people are discussing the secrets of Freemasonry, usually what they're referring to is what we call the modes of recognition. So if I'm walking down the street and I want to confirm whether somebody else is or is not a Mason, then there's certain grips, there's certain words, there's certain things I can do to try to confirm that he's a Mason. Honestly, what I probably do is ask to see his dues card. Um, and there are certain rituals in terms of like how we open a lodge, how we close a lodge, things of that nature. The meetings themselves, and those meetings, those secrets are conferred to people during their initiation. So when you're joining. Other than that, the rest of our meetings are business meetings. That doesn't mean that we're like engaged in business practices, like we're running a company. Rather, it really what should be called is an administrative meeting. And those are no different than any other administrative meeting for any other group or club. We talk about our finances, how much money we have, our building, which brothers may be sick, which brothers may be ill, or family. We'll do some education. We'll have dinner together, and usually what to have for dinner can be quite the contentious topic. Um, I've talked about this before, so forgive me, Smokey. I don't want to chew my food twice. Anybody watching this? The reason why we keep, for example, these modes of recognition secret, the reason why we keep our rituals and our degrees private is because it's no different than if your grandmother has a family recipe that she passes on to your mom, passes on to you pass it down. The recipe isn't nefarious, it isn't, evil or anything like that. The reason it's kept a secret, kept within the family, is because it strengthens the bonds between the family members and between the generations. Um, for Freemasonry, right, what we have to pass down to others, to other Masons, is our secrets, is our rituals. That's the thing that my grandfather passed down to me, because he was a Mason. That's the thing I will pass down to the next generation of Masons. And if we tell everybody what the secrets are, then it dilutes those connections, because now I don't know if somebody else who has a secret is a Mason or not a Mason. It makes the relationship less strong. Whereas if we maintain the privacy of our secrets, of our rituals, it strengthens the bonds of brotherhood, which is the purpose of Freemasonry, right? It strengthens the bonds of brotherhood. Sometimes you can get that strengthening through shared physical activity. So for example, a football team, everybody on the football team bonds with each other through having, 2-a-day practices in 100-degree heat, kind of like Friday Night Lights or Remember the Titans. That's how they bond. And then everybody on that team, for the rest of their lives, if they play together, practice together, have a bond of brotherhood forged through the shared suffering of being, on a football team. For Freemasons, we don't, we're not making guys do push-ups or sit-ups or anything like that. Rather, we create those same feelings of brotherhood through our ritual, through maintaining the privacy of those rituals, and through sharing the rituals with our membership. Going to war together, pretty much. There you go, Smokey, right? So, yeah, so for you, there's no need to, for example, keep what happens in a practice secret, because not everybody is cut out to do that or is going to do that, right? You create the bonds just by going through it together. For Freemasonry, it's a little bit different, right? We need to maintain the secrecy as a way to maintain those bonds. Otherwise, it would be equivalent to handing out team jerseys to everybody on the street, whether they took part in the practices or not, right? If that makes any sense. Actually, Smokey, what is your favorite football movie, if you have one? You say you play football. For me, Friday Night Lights. I think Friday Night Lights is actually the greatest sports movie ever, period. But I feel like for most people, it's Remember the Titans. No, don't I wish. All Masons are not rich. One of the things I often tell people, Zach, is if you ever get a message, sure, showing your place of the team, that's a good way to put it too, Smokey. If you ever get a message on social media, and I've got a few, it's funny, even a Mason gets these messages saying, like, join the International Brotherhood of Freemasonry and you will have access to all of our riches and fame and success. That is almost 100% a scam, right? Being a Freemason doesn't make you rich, nor are you required to be rich to be a Freemason. You need to have enough money to pay your dues, which usually are between $100 to $200 American per year. Sometimes they can be a little bit more. That's the average that I pay for dues. And there's usually a one-time payment initiation fee, which is usually between $500 and $1,000. That's what you pay first up front, and then after that, it's a yearly thing, again, of $100 to $200 US. That money goes to cover the cost of meals before or after lodge, right? They will feed you. It goes to cover the cost of, wherever it is you're meeting, so the building that you're meeting in, that your lodge meets in. It could be renting the space, it could own it. Either way, there's costs associated with that. And it goes to the cost of any special events you want to run, whether it's maybe you want to have a baseball game or picnic, or maybe you want to buy flowers for the wives of the membership, or maybe you want to have uh, a, is like special events or Christmas party or Halloween party. You can that's what the money kind of goes towards. But no, Masons, again, there's no monetary requirement outside of the dues. Some Freemasons are rich, some are poor, most are in between, as with everything else. Never seen Gridiron Gang. What'd you think, by Smokey, of the television show? I've never watched the television show. I'm debating whether I want to watch it or not. I don't really want to get started another TV show right now, but is it worth it? If I liked the movie, would I like the TV show? Let me know. And as always, if you're joining, please take a moment. Okay, so you're in the same boat as me. I feel like since I liked the movie so much, I would like the show, but never got around to watching it. I actually wrote something about Friday Night Lights on my Medium page where I said, in Freemasonry, our goal should be to be perfect. And then I defined be perfect the same way Billy Bob Thornton defined it in Friday Night Lights, where he said, actually, let me see if I can find that. Maybe I'll read that out, what I wrote quickly. If I can track it down. And by the way, while I'm doing this, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Zach, I hope I've answered your questions well. By the way, thank heavens it's cool down here in Windsor. This is going to be one of the first nights I've been able to sleep comfortably in a very long time and not die of, it feels like dying of heat stroke. What are the Georgia Bulldogs? Is that an NFL team? I only know about CFL, but I don't know if I've heard of the Georgia Bulldogs before. Is that a college team? But I mean, nothing but respect for being talented enough to get there, and nothing but my regrets that you had your shoulder injury. Shoulders are tough, man. They don't heal well all the time. Okay. See if I can find. Here it is. So, one reason, one of my favorite sports movies, my favorite sports movie is Friday Night Lights. One reason I love the movie, aside from the amazing performance and story, is the perfect speech delivered by Billy Bob Thornton. For a long time now, you've been hearing me talk about. Good for you, Smokey. For a long time now, I mean, that's nothing but respect, right? That takes a lot of skill to be that good. For a long time now, you've been hearing me talk about being perfect. But I want you to understand something. To me, being perfect is not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship to yourself and your family and your friends. Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that you didn't let them down because you told them the truth. And that truth is you did everything that you could. There wasn't one more thing you could have done. Could you live in that moment as best you can with clear eyes and love in your heart, with joy in your heart? If you can do that, gentlemen, then you're perfect. Right? For me, that speech encapsulates the idea of Masonic perfection. Masonic perfection isn't about delivering perfect ritual. It isn't about getting it right every time or even most of the time. Masonic perfection isn't about a Masonic career without mistakes. Masonic perfection is about a Mason's relationship with himself, his brothers, and his lodge. It's about the ability for a Mason to look his brothers in the eye and know that he didn't let them down, that he gave as much as he could to make Freemasonry a success, that there wasn't one more thing he could have done for his lodge in particular or Freemasonry in general. If a Mason can do that with clear eyes and love in his heart, with joy in his heart, he is perfect. Right? And I do think we need to make Freemasonry a success. I think in 2024 and 2025, in 2026, the hopes and dreams of the world rest on, amongst other things, Freemasonry. In 2024, Freemasonry and Freemasons may never matter more than in this year. We need to give everything to make our fraternity and lodges a success. We need to give everything to promote unity, peace, commitment, service, charity, optimism in ourselves and optimism in our institutions, and all the things that make Freemasonry a shining light in what can be a too often dark and challenging world. To my Masonic brethren in 2024, be perfect. Thank you, Smokey. I appreciate that. Ryan, you should watch it. I've actually got the DVD if you ever want to borrow it from me. Friday Night Lights, though, great movie. I think the greatest sports movie of all time. I'd put it higher than Ali. I'd put it higher than Remember the Titans. Yeah, if you can't click on the link I put in there, I hope you check it out. Otherwise, what I would type into Google is medium, square, and compass, be perfect. And type that into Google, and then please follow me on Medium. Actually, you can create a free Medium account, so it doesn't cost anything to follow me there as well. What is, Ryan, your favorite sports movie? Not movie altogether, just your favorite sports movie. Let's give it a few more minutes. See who joins. By the way, speaking of movies, on this weekend we have got I Know What You Did Last Summer being released. And as a huge fan of horror movies, I am beyond excited. I really enjoyed I Know What You Did Last Summer. I loved even more I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And I also really liked I Will Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which was the straight-to-video release. And so with that in mind, I'm very, very excited for I Know What You Did Last Summer. My grandfather and my grandmother, this is a shirt that was made for like a family reunion. This is my grandfather, who was himself a Freemason, and my grandmother. When they got married, they both passed away now. They've been passed away for several years. My papa and my nana. So yeah. Yes, with Kane. I like that movie. I like the second one as well. See No Evil, See No Evil 2 were both great. I love horror movies in general. But for me, I Know He Did Last Summer, I Still Know, and I Always Know. They have a lot of sentimentality for me. Somebody who um, loves horror in general, loves slashers, My favorite decade for slashers is the 80s, but I loved the 90s horror as well, especially, and I loved early 90s horror, but I also really loved the post Scream era of slasher films. Scream, Urban Legend, I Know He Did Last Summer, Valentine. I thought those were great, great films, great movies. The Blind Side. I would love to watch that one, Ryan. I've never seen it before. I know that had Sandra Bullock in it, right? But for me, uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one very much. Also, this weekend, I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different. Oftentimes on the weekends, I will do a midnight movie watch along. This weekend, I think I'm going to do that as well. But I think I'm going to do a Christmas movie to celebrate Christmas in July, which Hallmark is rocking out at the moment. Maybe I'll even get some hot chocolate. We can play some Hallmark Christmas bingo together. That could be a lot of fun. I'll have to check out The Blind Side. That's on my list of things to watch for sure. But maybe we'll do a Hallmark Christmas movie watch along, and I'll do it on my laptop, and I can share the screen, and we can do a Hallmark Christmas movie bingo. Because I'm a big girl at heart, and I love Hallmark Christmas movies. They're literally one of my favorite things. Not tonight, no. It'll be on the weekend, right? It'll be Saturday at midnight, maybe. I haven't decided for sure yet, and that'll be on my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adams. And this is my, in theory, this is my Let's Talk About Freemasonry channel. Um, so it would be not tomorrow, because I guess today is technically Friday, but it would be Saturday midnight. I don't know for sure, but I think that that's my plan. I will do it for Christmas for sure, but right now Hallmark Channel is doing their Christmas in July, so um, and I like Christmas in July. Like I said, I'm a big nerd who loves Hallmark Christmas movies. Big softy at heart, I guess. I'm gonna have to watch that for sure. Uh, Probably. I mean, there's a lot of different things. The first bit, what I'm gonna do actually is um, the a Mason on Twitter, Randall Carlson, if I recall correctly. He said something about Freemasonry, which I really liked. And then obviously the anti Masons found it, and he has a big following, so a lot of people saw it and started commenting their views on Freemasonry. And my plan actually is to spend the first couple hours of the stream going through what they say on there. Some of them is, Freemasonry is satanic. Some of them is more measured, but going through each response and explaining, trying to comment on the response and what I think about it and why I think it's incorrect, or what about it is incorrect. Then I was going to talk maybe about Freemasonry and family connection, including my father, but then Masons of Canada, I think would be great as well. Thank you, Courtney. No worries. I appreciate you being here. I don't got to figure out which Hallmark Christmas movie I'd want to watch first. Could I do Christmas in Evergreen? That's a great one. I'd like to start my free trial of this, see if it works. By the way, if anybody out there has a library card, check if you're eligible for the Hoopla app. It's a great app. I absolutely loved it. I can rent movies right to my phone, and as somebody who loves libraries and public libraries, I think we should all do our best to support apps like that. Anything to support a local library. Big believer in supporting our libraries. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment and jump in the chat, say hello. Let me know how it's going, if there's anything that you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral, I would love to hear it. It's easier than you think to build, or I have to question that. I mean, I don't know if it's easy. I feel like it'd be really hard to. Yeah, Courtney. I know the name Courtney that's happened in the past, but Courtney is it actually Courtney is going to be a Freemason soon, and I'm very happy about that. It's going to be awesome. But don't worry, you're not the first one. I actually didn't see that. I saw that and didn't register. Yeah, Courtney. I feel like Courtney is becoming more and more common as a dude's name, actually. Kind of like Cameron. For the longest time, my name Cameron, it was almost always a guy's name, and then it became like more and more women started getting the name Cameron. I mean, I feel like it'd be hard to gather 1,000 books. And it's not just getting the books, it's getting the books and then organizing the books and then, like, I feel like it'd be really tough. And then getting people in. Like, I don't think it'd be easy to actually. It might be easy to get 1,000 books. It'd be really hard to have a library, right? Which means like I'm trying to think how to put it. Like getting the library together in terms of like how you're going to get people in, organizing the library, checkouts, all that stuff. That would be really, really challenging. Use an iPad for the library, like for having a book. I mean, they do have a lot of great electronic books out nowadays, to their credit. It's no, I'm sure Courtney's a cool dude. Courtney's a really good person, so I'm sure he's not upset by that. But no, Courtney's great. Courtney's a really, really good person. Great to have him part of the stream. He's been a supporter since very early on. I am not becoming a librarian, but I do love libraries. Like I said, I think libraries are a vastly underappreciated resource. Two of my favorite libraries in the world. The first one is the Windsor Public Library. The second one is the Glenview Library, both of which I love visiting. Which is why I was saying, and actually, Ryan, if you have a library card for the Windsor Public Library, you should look at getting the Hoopla app. Hoopla. You can rent movies digitally, rent books digitally, rent audiobooks, and you'll end up getting them delivered right to your phone, your iPad, whatever it is. That's not just for Windsor, it's for a lot of different places, but Windsor has the option. Well, getting a library card is free, right? To my knowledge anyways, unless it's changed, but Getting a library card is free. That's one of the things about it. You know, the fees and stuff for late fees, I don't know what they are because I try to return my books on time. But um, yeah, the library is great. And once again, I'm a big supporter of libraries as a general, including, by the way, Masonic libraries. Best Masonic library, I think, is in Washington, from what I've researched. The George Washington Memorial Masonic Library, I think, is pretty incredible. So. And then also, obviously, with that, you can also, of course, rent physical media. So you can rent movies from the library. Some libraries have incredible selections of movies, DVDs, books. It's funny. I was watching YouTube of Red Letter Media, which is a great YouTube channel, by the way, Red Letter Media, and they were talking about different ways people watch movies. And one of the things that they said is a lot of people now will wait for a movie to come out on DVD, and they won't even purchase the DVD. They'll rent the DVD from the library. Now that all the video stores have kind of gone out of business, and you can't really rent movies from the local Blockbuster anymore, you use libraries, and they are excellent resources for that. So take advantage of it if you can. To everybody watching this, by the way, Hoopla app, get yourself a library card, support your local library. That stuff is important. I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be ending this stream soon, but it's been wonderful to have everybody join. This has just been a fun stream, hanging out, chatting. Tomorrow, I guess today, technically, I'll be back on at 1 p.m. And then pay attention because we're going to have a lot of stuff happening this weekend. So I hope you guys will keep checking my social medias, both Square and Compass and my Cameron Adamson social medias for what I've got going on. I'd love to, Ryan, but I got to get some sleep. I got to print out a whole bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of errands I got to run tomorrow. So sadly, I cannot stay too much longer. It was fun because Stone Cold said so. I love Stone Cold. Maybe the greatest of all time. Certainly up there. No, don't be sorry, Ryan. I appreciate you wanting me to join. Oh, so far, by the way, my Patreon poll, we have one vote. I should start my 24-hour live stream on July 21st at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern. So that'll go from 2 p.m. on July 21st to 2 p.m. on July 22nd. What's a unique or off the beaten path anywhere? Because I love to explore. But the danger is, if I know about it and I can answer that question, how off the beaten path is it? I guess off the beaten path would be the crossroads at which Robert Johnson sold his soul, supposedly, to be able to become the best guitar player. Or Masonically speaking, the most northern Masonic lodge, which would be the Aurora Borealis Lodge number 497 in Inuvik, Northwest Territories, Canada, operating under the Grand Lodge of Manitoba in Canada. We're going to see, Ryan, I've stayed up 24 hours many times in the past, so I'm not worried about how long I can stay awake. I can do that 24 hours easily, and I get lots of coffee. It's more I'm curious to see if I can keep the stream going for that long, keep the stream interesting. But you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be fun to try. So we're going to give it a shot, put it that way, and we'll see how it goes. But I think one of them would be the most northern lodge, probably. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Really, Smokey? Did you? I believe if I recall correctly, the rule is you have to bury something personal, and the devil will appear. So did you bury something personal, and did the devil appear? Although as I'm saying this, I can just imagine all of the conspiracy theorists getting some ideas, hearing me talk about trying to summon the devil to sell my soul. I wouldn't sell my soul, but if I could summon the devil, that might be kind of fun. That'll give something for the conspiracy theorists to play with for a while. When did you go? Because it was in Mississippi, right? Yeah, no, I've known libraries that rent out musical instruments. I've known a few. Fair enough. You've already had it, so you need to do it again. Makes sense to me. But maybe since the devil seems to be ignoring me for now, maybe I'll have to go and try to get his attention. But I mean, I also just in general, by the way, I'd love to visit Mississippi. I've never been there before. I don't think I could handle it in summer. I mean, the heat would kill me. But I would love to visit Mississippi. I really like to spend more time learning about Freemasonry in the South. Like, I haven't really. Texas, I don't know if that counts as the South, but Texas and Atlanta, Georgia, never really anywhere else in the South. I've done some interviews with people, but more it's been in the West. Um, the Midwest and West is much more where I kind of focus on my Masonic journeys thus far. I'd love to spend more time in the southern states. Okay, so maybe I'll have to get to Mississippi sooner rather than later. Because it's 1,000,000% on my list. All right, good night, Dennis. I appreciate the request for good luck. So long as you're there with me and checking out with me, I think I'll be okay. But I'll need the help of people joining in and out as we go. So why not like Washington D.C.? I'd love to visit Washington D.C. as well. That is 1,000,000% on my list. But I feel like the South, there might be more to explore because when I say the South, I mean there's Mississippi, South Carolina, um, uh, Louisiana, um, northern Florida. Florida, I've been to Florida a bunch, but Florida is one of those places where the further south you go, the more north you are in Florida, the more south you are in the States. Yeah, as Dennis says, Florida is not the South. Because I've been to Florida a bunch. But, I think, it's more the Florida Georgia line, right? That's the South. I was in Orlando always, or almost always, which I don't think counts as the South. It's funny when you start thinking about where do you want to go for Freemasonry. There's just so much of places you want to go. Where you want to visit Masonically, it's tough. I'd love to go to Jacksonville, Florida. Like I was saying, I think that in Freemasonry, there is no end of incredible and amazing places to visit. And I think that we as Freemasons should do our best to try and explore as many of these places as we can, as often as we can. It's tough, and people have families, and it's expensive to travel. It's not getting any cheaper. And I certainly, understand if brothers can't, but as much as possible, I think it behooves us as Freemasons to travel, um, and to see the world, and to see our Masonic brothers. It can only make our Masonic experience better. All right, I've said it a million times, um, and I'll say it probably a million more. The most important thing you can do as a Freemason to support Freemasonry is to support your lodge. But the most important thing you can do for Freemasonry, for your Masonic career and for your Masonic experience, is to visit other Masonic lodges and to travel as much as possible. That will get you the most out of Freemasonry by a mile, and will do the best at expanding your Masonic career. So travel, travel, travel. That will give you the most fulsome Masonic experience. And most fulsome life experience. Like as Smokey says, he lived all over the place. I mean, Anthony Bourdain said it really well. Let's see if I can get that quote. Let's see if I can find it now. It's funny, sometimes I think to myself, depending where I'm at in life, I sometimes ask myself whether a moment I'm experiencing will end up being like lost in the void or a part of kind of what it is that I am. Because it's funny how many you talk about living too many places to remember. It's funny how when we think about it, like in our day-to-day life, how many things do we do and then in one day they're forgotten, and or we don't think about them, and then in 1 year it's like they never happened. Right? How many of our day-to-day experiences end up being lost in a void versus how many stick with us? Right? And I sometimes try to think of myself in different moments. Am I experiencing a void moment right now that's going to be lost to my memory, or is this going to be a part of what makes me me? Amsterdam, I've heard it's beautiful. As Anthony Bourdain stated, if I'm an advocate for anything, it's to move as far as you can, as much as you can, across the ocean or across the river. The extent to which you can walk in someone else's shoes, or at least eat their food, or sit in their lodge, it's a plus for everybody. It absolutely is. Honestly, Courtney, I don't remember. I visited Alberta before when I was really young, and um, we went camping there in a park. I don't know. I think it might have been Banff because I remember being told it was like a national park, but I don't remember for sure. So I don't know. But I know I've been camping in Alberta. What game are you playing right now, Ryan? Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Are you winning? I remember playing the Call of Duty games years ago. I never got really big into games, but I could. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know there was a Call of Duty mobile. Yes, I'm always on there. So, like, we can play together on the mobile app? All right, well, this has been an absolute blast, but I do need to go to sleep tomorrow. Another live stream. That will be the Ask Us Anything live stream. I may talk a little bit about, I'll check it out for sure. I may talk a little about the new Grandview system, or sorry, the new Masonic system here in Ontario, though I'm still learning it myself. We'll have some questions about dues cards. It'll be fun. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you haven't done so yet, hit the like button and the subscribe button. It was a great night as always. And I'll see you all tomorrow for our casual Friday live stream. All right, talk to you guys later.